What's up, guys? Shane here again, back with another video for you. I'm trying to up the content here on this channel. We put out a podcast every week, but I'm trying to put out a bunch of YouTube videos, at least to start strong, at the very least. That's what I'm trying to do. Today, I want to bring a little video, a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of a gameplay video of what I like to call springs because I don't feel like saying Tom Kench and Soraka or Soraka Kench. I just want to call it a one syllable word. So springs. It's what I hit masters with. It's this exact deck list still. I haven't changed anything. Going to walk you through just a little bit of the deck, what I like to play with it, some of the weaknesses, some of the tech cards that I have in, and the reasons I have those cards in. Just general things like that. And then we'll probably run a game or two. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep the video a little short. And just let me know if you guys are enjoying the content that we put out. I just put out a Twitter poll as well. You can click our Twitter link. It should be in the description down below. Pretty active on there, tweeting out a bunch of announcements, and we have cool guests and stuff on the podcast. But tweet out a poll about what kind of content you guys want to see on the YouTube channel. Looking for some feedback, but honestly, I'm just going to keep pumping out whatever I can for now, and hopefully you enjoy it. So, all right, let's move on into the game here. So, like I said, I call this springs here. So, pretty standard list. Nothing too crazy here. So let's walk through it. We got 3 Crusties, 2 Shakedowns, we got 2 Star Shepherds, 3 Boxtopus, 3 Fortune Croaker, 3 Guiding Touch, 2 Hush, 3 Pale Cascade, 2 Shield Bearers, obviously 3 Star Springs. I'm rocking 1 Divergent Paths as well. Obviously 3 Sorakas, 3 Astral Protections, still using 2 Bastions, 2 Broadback Protectors, and 3 Tom Kench. So that's the list. Our curve looks like this. 16 spells, 3 landmarks, 21 units, 6 champs. Pretty standard looking deck here in my opinion. So I think you have a few options when you're making this style of a deck, and it really comes down to what kind of units you want to run. Some people drop the Star Shepherd altogether. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Star Shepherd. I don't know if you want her as a 3 of, but she's pretty solid as a 2. She's got a 3 health, big body, at least in the health department. So she does have a lot of room for healing when she does get self-inflicted damage, either from Croaker or Shakedown or blocking, which is really good. And obviously she can become a little bit of a win condition on her own. She gets huge, right? And part of that getting big is just being able to block a big target is really key. Or there's plenty of options where I'm actually forcing them to remove her because I'll use a Shakedown and swing out with her as an open attacker. And if they don't remove her, they're going to be eating at least half their Nexus a lot of times. So I think she's really solid, and I think she should still make the cut for the list. The Krusty pretty much is a auto-include. You got to include him. Boxtopus, same thing. Boxtopus on turn 2, followed by Soraka on 3 is such a strong curve. Croaker, 100%, deals 2 damage on board, which perfectly sets up Spring. So that card's 100% a must. Guiding Touch, again, 2 mana, healing for 2, drawing card, not much better. I normally run Hush still, 2 cost Hush now. Still really solid across the board, good combat trick. Pale Cascade is super important just for trying to get some good trades and possibly keeping a unit alive with the +1 health. Doesn't always happen. Your other option here is the Sunblessed Vigor here. Solid option as well because you're granting somebody +2 maximum health that really keeps people alive. But Pale Cascade can really punish some early trades, which actually can be a little bit more beneficial than just keeping one of your units alive because you're trading up into something. And it's also a really solid card, obviously into like Fearsome and things like that. The Shield Bearer is also in here for a Fearsome tech. I was seeing a lot of Fearsome when I made Masters before, but also just having a 6 health body is really solid. Even on offense, if you want to shake down and then pull something out to get the kill. And this thing actually has a weird interaction with Springs where if it took damage and it's at like 3 health, say, on the turn you played it, Springs will heal it up to 4 and then the buff will go away. So you can still get like a cheeky heal or 2 with Star Spring out. Obviously, you're running 3 Star Spring. Divergent Paths as a 1 of is a little bit of a weird tech. Not everyone runs this. It really helps in the mirror match if you can stop their highest spring from going off so you can have a chance to win. But also just if you don't see your springs, I mean, double drawing springs isn't great, but I normally don't mind having 2 out. If you see 2 and a diversion, it does hurt, but I think it's worth that risk because if you don't see a springs at all, this helps you grab one. You can use spell mana for this. You only need 2 unit mana to play springs. On top of that, like I said, really helps the mirror match. Haven't found a ton of use for it outside of that. Obviously, if I'm playing into like a Volt deck and stuff like that, why not? Obviously, we have Soraka and Kench. Don't really have to talk about those. Astral Protection is also an auto-include in this deck style. The +4, but also the heal with Springs Out is just absolutely devastating. Helps with so many good trades. Bastion, I'm still running. There's still a lot of Vengeance out there, and Ruination especially. We have a lot of TF Go Hard going around right now. They have a lot of unit damage and a lot of targeting spells like Vengeance. Bastion helps cancel that out. And there's still plenty of discard aggro, so not even everyone runs Broadback Protector, but I think it's crazy not to in a few different metas. And this one, there's plenty of Nexus damage going around. So Broadback is a thick boy, and he's one of the best targets for Astral Protection, for sure. So that's the deck. So like overall, like I'm saying, we can talk about a few other flex spots real quick if you want. Not like there's a chat here that I'm like talking directly to, but yeah, if you guys want. Like I said, I think a third Shakedown would be fine. I've seen some people run Solari Soldier as a 1-drop as well over Star Shepherd. Not my favorite option personally. Like I said, I enjoy the Hush aspect of this. I've seen people run Mountain Goat as just their option for like the Shield Bearer slot, because it does give you the gem, which will give you the heal, which is okay. Not my favorite. I'd rather have the Shield Bearer. I think it's a little bit more consistent, just in my opinion. Sunblessed Vigor is a very good flex option here over Hush or Pale Cascade, because the +2 health is a grant, and that's very, very strong. So I do think that card has a lot of use. Spring Guardian's not my favorite. It's a 3/3 for 3, which isn't the greatest body, and then it's going to give you the 1-cost fully heal an ally. Not always something that goes off perfectly. Obviously, there are some plays that are really solid, but it is a slow spell, so it's not my favorite. I actually like this card better with like dragons or challenger units more than I do with this deck, but I have tried it in there a few times. You can always run Wish. I think that's a mistake. Again, we could put more broadbacks in. We could turn that up into that. Stargazer is a meme card for a meme deck, which I'll probably make at some point, but not for the actual healing deck. Then you have things like Resplendent Unicorn, heal an ally for 3 and your Nexus for 3. Decent card. If there was a little bit more aggro in the meta, I could see maybe putting another broadback and then another than this Stellacorn, but right now it's not really super needed. And Star Spring is another card that does have a lot of actual use in this deck as well, and I could totally see it making a spot, either just healing for 5 would be really strong on a unit, if a unit did manage to take that much damage, or healing a Nexus to stay alive, but either way, invoking there to get a decent answer late game is super strong. So we got that. I think that's probably about all the options. You could put Sunburst in as a tech card to help against Mirror and just have a strong removal card as well. That is something you could do. I love Grandfather Removal, but we don't really have enough health here on him, and the +4/+4 doesn't do enough. So I think those are most of the flex cards that I would consider adding, but I'm pretty happy with where the deck's at still. So I don't think we'll add anything. We won't change anything. That's pretty much the breakdown. Like I said, talking about matchups, we feel pretty good into a lot of mid-range stuff. So even the Ezreal Swain can be decent. Some of those matchups can get a little bit weird. If they're running Scorched Earth for landmark removal, it does hurt, and Culling Strike really hurts the deck in general. But that being said, it's still a winnable matchup. They do a lot of burst spell damage and things, or I'm sorry, fast speed damage and things, which we have plenty of counters to with either healing or buffing or even just Bastion. So you have a fair chance to win that matchup for sure. Fearsome, I don't really mind the matchup because there's certain tech cards that we have in here, like 3 Pale Cascades, and the Shield Bearer really helps with that as well, on top of Star Shepherd actually getting pretty beefy. I used to like the ramp matchup a lot more, but Feel the Rush does hurt the ramp matchup in this one, so you do need to get your healing off a little earlier than that. Yeah, that's pretty. And the TF Gohard, I feel pretty good into TF Gohard as well. So that's pretty much the 3 matchups, or the different matchups that I just talked about that I feel decent about. But like I said, this deck is pretty straightforward. It's a deck that, a lot of people run. It's not a unique brew at all like I'm used to doing. I used to try to do a lot of unique stuff, but this season I just fell in love with how to play this deck. Also, if you're not running Stellacorn here, you're crazy. So yeah, let's load into a game. So we'll take it right into ranked, see how it goes. All right, so we got Darius Tarek. Actually, I think I took it into normals by accident, but that's fine too. All right, so for starting hands, Broadback would be good if we were playing into, like, say, discard aggro. We're not playing into anything like that. you're looking really for Krusty, Croaker if you already have a 1-drop, Springs 100%. Soraka is actually a fine answer as well, but I think Shield Bearer is the only thing we're going to keep here for now. We got a pretty dang good hand. He does have a fearsome unit, which can be annoying, but we got a Krusty Codger, so that's good. So we have a turn 2 coming up. Probably just put Springs out as soon as possible. We'll see how hard he goes into rushing. Ideally, we can play a Shield Bearer on defense. Best defensive card in the game. He's got nothing else on turn 2, so that feels alright. Alright, so we got the Mentor of Stones. Can support the fearsome unit pretty well, but this actually shuts that off for now, which is nice. Alright, so we're going to play Croaker. So Croaker's really good because, again, it does damage to 2 different things. Allows the Star Spring to get 2 heal in, which is huge. And looks like we just have a little bit of a rush style going on. Yeah, we're not super worried about that. I think I want to put Star Shepherd out now to actually get her to be a 4 health or 4 attack after the heal goes off. And then we'll kind of chill here. So we have Star Spring at 4. This deck can get overwhelmed. It's a common misconception that you have such a strong early game that you can't get overwhelmed, but that's 100% not true. You can definitely get overwhelmed with this deck pretty easily. But ideally, we're going to withhold this rush that he is going to be sending. And this is a pretty thick rush here. I mean, 2 Mentors of Stones is pretty nuts. So we got some decisions to make. We'll definitely go here. It's an easy block. We'll give him some gems for that. And then we do have an option here to just eat that 6. Or to put a blocker in front of it. Like this. And then get that with the Pale Cascade. But I do want to play a unit. And I also... He does have plenty of mana left for his own combat tricks. So we'll stop with this. And for right now, we'll take that 6. 6 is a decent amount of damage, but blocking with this doesn't really help it that much. Yeah, so this is why we save this, just because we do want to kill this thing. Right, I don't want to show my hand too hard over here. This trade doesn't bother me that much. This one bothers me a lot. I don't want this unit to stay alive. And then we pull Soraka, so that's pretty huge. So it should end with this. So Springs will go up by 2 more. He will actually burn a card, I think, on his turn. So we will play Soraka now. Soraka on the back half of a turn is actually sick, because the healing from Springs will happen at the round end, and she'll get a draw card from this, which is huge. So he stops the card burn by playing one of his gems. Makes sense. So we'll draw an additional card with Soraka because of that. And again, card draw is super important because we do have things like Springs and Divergent Paths. We need to dig through those. We don't want those on board. Alright, so we have a couple options. So right now, we do have an option that's just an open attack that sends Soraka healing this, pulling this out of the way, and that will put through a 10 of damage Star Shepherd, which is pretty nuts. But I think we're going to play another Boxtopus to start. And we'll probably still do what I said, but pull both units out of the way. Right now, the Springs is only at 6 health. Or 6 out of its condition of 22. But I'm feeling pretty confident in board state. So I'm not super worried about anything. I'm not sure what this could be. Alright, so he wants to stun her. Which is, like I said, mildly annoying. It's not too terrible. So we will pull him with the... this one is going to get fully healed. We want this one to still stay damaged at the end of this turn for the Springs to go off. So we'll pull like this. I'll get 3 heals for that. Oh, okay, a Scorched Earth. So I have an option of... The fact that he's Scorched Earthing this instead of my landmark does make me think that my landmark is going to get Scorched Earth later, because I don't know why he would use this on this landmark. So here's like the question where it comes down to, I could stop this Scorched Earth with an Astral Protection, but that's not the best feeling thing ever. And if he's using this on this, it's a little bit of a tell that he probably has another one. So I need to actually get my second Springs online in order to counter that next one. Because again, that's most likely my win condition. I do have a 10 attack Shepherd, or I could win that way. But that's not guaranteed. So I'm going to get another Springs down just to make sure he's not flooding the board. I can afford the unit space. I'm going to put this down just to start getting some heal on this in order to counter the fact that he is playing like he has a second Scorched Earth or a second answer to my landmark. It's just a little ballsy to use that if you don't have a second one when I'm at a half conditioned Star Spring. Alright, so he's got a Arbiter of the Peak and a 10-5. Think we're okay right now. We'll just pass. And he's got that. Alright. And we got a decent amount of mana here. Yeah, we don't need to play anything right now. He's got no mana left. And he's just going to pass turn. Interesting. Alright, so we're kind of hanging out. I mean, we can send Star Shepherd here, pull a block, and Astral Protection it. That is a possibility. And overriding units actually isn't the worst thing to do in this situation. So I will override this. We don't have to worry about Ruination or anything like that where it's going to be a board wipe. So I'll at least overwrite this so I can get 2 heal and a Soraka card draw. And then see what he plays. He played that. So we'll get Kench on board. And you know what? We'll get the Broad back on board. We are missing 6 health against an Overwhelm deck. We probably want some heals at some point. Yeah, we're kind of chilling at this point. So a lot of people will play like really slow into you. So he does have a lot of Overwhelm coming at me, but I do have a decent amount of health on my bodies, or I think I'll be alright. So I do have the option to try to kill something with Boxtopus like this. But it does leave me in a weird situation. So if I do try to kill this here, he can block with the 10-5. Which I could Astral Protection around, but it doesn't feel like the strongest maneuver here. And I do want the heal to go off. I do wish I had a Shakedown so I could pick out what I want to kill. But I think what we're going to do is just actually pass here. I think my game's lagging out though. Yeah, there you go. So he's got a lot of damage coming up. Probably has a decisive maneuver is what he's going for. The old Darius Draven trick. So he decisive maneuver, stuns the thing in front of me and then gives his unit +2. Bastion should be able to play around that to a degree. So we got plenty of stuff we need to block. Puts us at -1. It's not the best. I understand. So we can block like that, force him to use something first, and then we have answers. So a Bastion on that doesn't really do anything. We do want to get the heals off on this. So we have 12 mana. So we actually have enough for all of this. So I'm going to go here for a heal. And then I'm going to put my own Bastion to keep her alive for now. And we'll see what he counters with. So nothing for now. If he does have direct hand damage, if he has a Decimate or something, we lose. We'll pass for now. So you could have another Apprehend or another Darius, which would be a Decimate. So we need to heal for more than we can heal for. But we're going to heal for 3 with this, which is nice. So we'll put this out. So he does need to have an Apprehend or something to stop me from winning this turn. Technically, he needs to do something now. So again, like a lot of this is really like a lesson in passing and when to pass. So right now, if I pass, I win the game if he ends turn, right? This thing goes off, it heals for 1, 2, I just win. So he has to answer my pass. I don't need to play anything. There's plenty of stuff I could eat with Kench and then get a good heal. I could attack with Soraka in this. But right now, he has to do, like, the ball is 100% in his court. I am currently winning. So I am still, if the turn ends now, I win the game. So yeah, we win, and we don't actually have to do anything, right? Like, we can do things. There's plenty of things we can do, but it's really a good lesson there just to take a breath and just be like, all right, well, what do I need to do? We have heal for the Nexus in case things happen, which is great, but we don't have to do anything, which is important to know, because if we start doing stuff, we can get ourselves in trouble after that. So it is like a... it's a weird pilot, and I know a lot of people have played a decent amount of it, and they haven't loved Springs, but it's really, really strong. You see, he had a huge attack there. I had plenty of options. I had another Bastion to get around, like a decisive maneuver or any other thing he threw out at me. I had a Hush as well to just completely turn off the 10 attack overwhelm on the left side of the board, which would have saved me 7 damage. So there's plenty of options you have there. So let's take one into a ranked game. I played that in normals by mistake. And obviously that deck was a little janky when he's playing, but it was like it was an overwhelm guarantee. He was running decisive maneuver and things like that. It's a pretty solid deck. So we'll see how discard aggro goes. This deck 100% can just pop off and kill me. That's why we're still running Broadstack, Broadback Protector. So a hand like this is a little bit weird. We want to keep units. We're not as worried about getting our win condition as we are as much as worried about just honestly controlling the board. Like Tom Kench dominates this type of matchup. So a Guiding Touch is actually an interesting keep because it can keep our Boxtopus alive after it attacks, which is nice. But we might even just trade this into something like a Darius, but I'm going to keep it for now. So we want to keep a 1 and 2 drop. And an Astral Protection is actually really good too, because you can just straight up play an Astral Protection on like your Boxtopus, and then he can just feast for the rest of the game. So yeah, he's smart. Just attack him with that. He knows I don't really want to block that because that will hurt me. I don't really want to put out the Boxtopus now, but like I said, I also don't really want to put out Star Spring. So both options aren't my favorite. So we'll actually go Boxtopus, and we'll attempt to challenge the O2 just to get a unit off the board. And we don't have a ton of room for taking damage, so we can't just take like unlimited damage. So we got to see what he does and see how I want to react. But we do have Tom Kench coming, which is very good. Yeah, so he's got a huge attack, excuse me, coming up. Star Spring does have some use here. I'm going to save for Guiding Touch at the moment. Yeah, so this is pretty terrible. I'm going to take a lot of damage. We're just going to have to pass. And when they nut out like this, there's really nothing you can do against this deck, no matter what deck you're playing. Definitely one of the problems with this deck. It can just do things like this. I mean, look at this turn 3. I'm not sure what deck you're playing that's going to stop that. Actually, you just Withering Wail it if you save 5 mana. Alright, so what options do we have? Soraka is probably our best option here. She'll heal the Boxtopus. So we want to see a Hush, and it actually totally shuts off our Soraka. So that's just brutal. I mean, that's just absolutely brutal. Yeah, I can't really even do anything with that. Very, very brutal play there. We actually need the 6 health just to protect it. But, I mean, there's nothing we can do. Like I said, this kid's curve was just absolutely insanity. Yeah, he should just open. You literally have to do this. We don't have a hush to stop anything, which is rough. And we'll just actually get to the next one, because there's nothing we're coming back from that. Yeah, when you hit 2 jury rigs, a flame chomper, 2 Zol Knights, and an arena battlecaster, and then a turn 4 thing, you're going to win the game. Doesn't really matter what you're playing. That's one of the interesting things about that discard aggro. Where a lot of people compare that to the old Burn deck, and it's like, yeah, Burn felt bad in a lot of different ways when it just did damage that you couldn't even play around, right? Like just Disciple and Crimson Discipline. Crimson Disciple, I mean, and the Imperial Demolitionist. Just that type of burn damage was just brutal. But discard aggro, you can play against it, but sometimes it can just absolutely nut and just destroy you. So that hand was pretty interesting. We don't really want to keep a lot of it. We're playing against Shadow Isles Demacia, maybe a Volts deck, I'm not sure. Maybe just straight up Elites with Harrowing. If I had to guess, it would probably be Elites with Harrowing. It is Elites with Harrowing. So we actually just want to kill this thing before this gets out of hand. Which is unfortunate, because it does suck to throw a Boxtopus into a unit. But we'll do this and bait out that I have a heal by attacking with this. Yeah, we don't want to deal with that nonsense for sure. Because then it just turns into a Bannerman and then all that stuff. And Boxtopus is solid, but we can't be dealing with the Elites going off too hard right now. So I'm going to play Soraka. I do want to get Croaker out as soon as possible, but Soraka actually turns off a little bit of an attack here. Yeah, so you can't really do much because I just can block very well. This is actually where the Star Shepherds become really useful, because now they're both a 6 attack. So when it does look like I won't actually have a lot of great options for defense, turns out that I have some really good options for defense. Yeah, so I mean, like, even Cytherea the Bold is, like, annoying, but, like, how annoying is it really? When I have 6 attack Star Shepherds. Right, like, you can't even attack. He's just played Cytherea the Bold, and you can't even attack. It's crazy. Alrighty, so we are in a weird position where we don't really have much we can do. That is kind of the downfall of where we're at. We don't have a shakedown, which we do need, so we'll just pass for now. We are looking for a shakedown, but we don't have one. The other option I can do is just attack with some things, and then Astral Protection my way around some stuff. And he even might let some things go through. We don't want to really use anything too hard yet. We do want to play defense more than anything. So I think we'll actually pass for now. Again, it becomes a really weird game where I'm like trying to figure out what I actually want to do. And none of this is great in the sense because I don't have whatchamacallit. So we're actually going to do a cheeky attack here and do an Astral Protection because we need to do something. And we actually just need card draw more than anything right now. And he just took 10. So, like, that's the thing about, like, bait. I mean, like, yeah, I had options, but, like, just taking 10 damage is A-okay with me, I think. Yeah, now we get an attack coming out. So there's a lot of fearsome units, so we can't really even afford to block here with that. We're going to have to do something else. But we also do have a Hush to allow us to block somewhere, which is nice. So the Hush here brings this guy down to a 2-2. We're probably getting like a Tiana Ground Guard shenanigan going on here. So we'll probably do this. We gotta kill Cythria here because she's too strong to live through this. Yeah, I can't really allow that to happen. So let's see if he does any combat tricks here, and then we'll try to play around. If not, we just take that. So Tiana Crown Guard is annoying because these things are still elusive. I'm sorry, still fearsome, which is brutal, which you could win the game off of Tiana here. So we need to put a blocker down. Just need to be able to block something with fearsome. But so we still could have a... So I can play this. It just puts me out of range to be able to Bastion up a protector or a blocker for something that has fearsome. And I would take it. I only have one fearsome blocker, so I do need to just pass here. I can't actually play this. Now, yeah, if he pursues, then it's another whole story. So I still have a couple blocks here, but we're still not looking super strong. Yeah, a bunch of... or 2 3/3s, okay. So I don't think we can do anything. So I can block these. So I can block 4 things. But these 3 are fearsome, so I can't. I mean, I can block 4 things and take 8 coming through that side, which is an option, but adding 2 to this lets me block 1 of those and then heal for 2. I think I still lose no matter what here. See, I can do something like this. I can do something like this. I can do something like this, and I can do something like this. No, I can live by 1. Which most likely won't be enough, but we will see. If he has another rally, definitely not. If he doesn't have another rally, possible that I can heal for a bajillion. But definitely not guaranteed. Alright, so we'll heal for a bunch here. Three astral protections. Created a 4 Demacia in hand. So we're going to try. We're going to do everything we can to heal up and live as long as we possibly can. So we will heal 3 to the Nexus. So right now, just an open attack, I can leave a 3 attack go through, and I could actually live. But a 4 Demacia pretty much ends the game, I think, right? Let me see. Actually, it might not, technically. So what I can do is I can actually eat something here. So yeah, I can eat somebody. That somebody will most likely get spit back out. But I can eat like a Garen. And then technically block everything and be alive. But he can probably play another unit. But if that unit doesn't have 4 attack, then I'm okay. Like I said, if that unit doesn't have 4 attack, then we're okay. He throws out the GG. I mean, he's going to get Garen back. Actually, he doesn't have to get Garen back here. So we do this here. We're 2 away from finishing the game here. So we're going to do this, put him back up to 10 health. And we're going to see how that goes. And he surrenders. So, I mean, we're close to surrendering ourselves. a few times, right? But you can see that this deck can just fight back from anything. And it's why it's probably my favorite deck on the ladder right now. I mean, it's just pretty insane comebacks. I mean, like that was pretty absurd, right? I mean, he had multiple full board swings. I was down to 1 health with, a double swinging turn with Cythria because I had a nice hush on the tough unit to let me block. We barely fought back by just living. I probably wasn't doing the best commentary work there just because I was actually in the zone doing a lot of math in my head there. But as you can see, I mean, this deck can come back from anything. I mean, that was a weird, playing against Undying or Elites with Harrowing most likely as the Shadow Isles card, maybe Stalking Shadows as well. But the deck can literally come back miraculously at times. So pretty insane. Guys, that'll do it for the video. So you see a little bit of gameplay from Soraka Kench. I'm just calling it Springs because it's one syllable and easy to call it. Deck's a blast. I mean, there's a lot of information about this deck. You're not going to see an article on Runeterra CCG from me about Springs. There's already a great article by a Gigas on that site. So if you guys want to check that out, I would highly recommend it. Plenty of content around this deck. I just want to show you a little bit of how I pilot it and how it got me to Masters this season and why I still think it's one of the best competitive decks. You obviously saw that Discard Aggro can still stomp it out, but we won 2 games, one very close, one pretty convincingly. So that's the deck, guys. As always, you can subscribe. Would mean the world to me if you subscribe. Also, if you can like this video, throw a comment in, even if it's just, "Hey Shane, you're a weird looking dude." That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take any comment you can give me. Podcast is up every Wednesday or Thursday. We have the podcast on SoundCloud. We have it on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play Music, anywhere you find your podcast. You can check that out. It'll also be right here on YouTube as well. So make sure to subscribe. And you can join our Discord for more tournaments, more info, more friends to talk with, guys. Thanks for checking it out, and peace.